Hi all, this is Dr. A. Benazir, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of Commerce, Sadakatalapa College. Welcome to today's session on Contract and its Elements, Part 2. In this session, we are going to discuss about acceptance, which is the second most important element of valid contract. In the world of agreement and legal dealings, acceptance is a foundation that transforms an offer into a legally binding contract. Now, let's explore the essential aspect of acceptance, including its role in forming a binding contract, the requirement for a valid acceptance, and the various forms it can take.
Now, let's begin with understanding acceptance. What is acceptance? Acceptance refers to an act of giving consent by the offeree. The offerer is the person who makes an offer, while the offeree is the person who receives the offer and he can accept or reject it. If the offer is considered as a starting point in a contract, acceptance is the concluding point. It signifies the willingness of the offeree to be bound by the terms proposed by the offerer. Acceptance is the point where negotiations turns into a binding contract. For an acceptance to be valid, it must meet the following criteria. First, it should be unconditional. The acceptance must mirror the terms of the offer without making any modifications. Second one is the acceptance should be communicated to the offerer. The offerer must be made aware of the acceptance. And third one is it should be made within the time frame. If the offer specifies any time limit, the acceptance must be made within that period. And finally comes, it should be made by the authorized person. Only the offeree or their authorized agent can accept the. Now let's have a look into the rules that governs the acceptance. Acceptance is governed by a set of rules to ensure clarity and legality. The first rule is acceptance must be made absolute and unqualified. The offeree must accept the offer exactly as it is without adding any conditions. Changing the terms of offer invalidates the acceptance. Second rule is the acceptance must be communicated. Mere acceptance by the offeree without communicating it to the offerer cannot become a valid acceptance. Silence generally does not constitute acceptance unless there is an established agreement. Here comes the third rule, that is, the acceptance should be made within the specified time frame. Delayed acceptance is invalid unless the offerer agrees to do it. The next rule is acceptance must be made by the offeree. Only the offeree or their authorized agent to whom the offer is made can accept the offer. Now let's have a look into the rule regarding the mode of acceptance. If a specific mode is prescribed in the offer, the acceptance must follow that mode. If no mode is specified in the offer, any reasonable method is acceptable. Here comes the last rule regarding the acceptance. The acceptance once made cannot be revoked. Once communicated acceptance binds the offeree to the contract. Now let's dive into the next topic, the types of acceptance. Acceptance can take several forms depending on how it is communicated or inferred. Let's discuss it one by one. Here comes the first one, that is the express acceptance. The acceptance which is made through clear words, either it may be in written or spoken, is called express acceptance. Here we have implied acceptance. The acceptance which is demonstrated through conduct or actions is called implied acceptance. Now let's have a look into the conditional acceptance. The acceptance which involves agreeing to an offer subject to certain conditions being met. For example, accepting a job offer depending on a high salary is a conditional acceptance. The next type of acceptance is the acceptance by performance. The acceptance which occurs when the offeree performs the act specified in the offer is called the acceptance by the performance. Finally, we comes to the last type of acceptance, that is the prescribed mode of acceptance. When the offerer specifies how the acceptance must be communicated, then the acceptance must follow that mode. For example, if the offerer specifies that the acceptance must be sent via mail within 7 days, then the acceptance should be made in that prescribed mode. Now we are in the last stage of this session. Let's have a small recap. Acceptance is a crucial step in forming a binding contract. It must be unconditional, it must be communicated, and it must be made within the given time frame. All these things only make the acceptance a valid one. In this video, we discussed about the various forms of acceptance and the various specific rules that governs the validity of the acceptance.
Thank you for watching this video. We hope that now you feel more confident in your understanding about the concept of acceptance in a valid contract. Stay tuned for our next session on Contract and its Elements Part 3. In that, we are going to discuss about consideration in contract.